Claire and Aaron. Thank you
Hi.
for joining us today on the Patient Insight series. It's great that you can come along and share your insight of parents with a child with MSUD. So for those who don't understand the condition or don't know about it, could you give us a little bit of insight about MSUD and how it affects your daughter Willow?
Yeah. MSUD is maple syrup urine disease, and it pretty much is the body not being able to break down protein the same way as a normal person would. So with our daughter Willow, we just have to make sure her protein content is kept in check each day. We make sure that we don't give her too much or too little. We have a weekly dietitian call where we either raise it, keep it as is, or lower it depending on her blood results each week. And on the back of that, Willow, if she gets sick, ends up in hospital because if she's ill, she constantly needs to have fluid into her, and she sometimes can't keep that down, so we tube feed it through her stomach. And as long as that is kept at bay, then she has kind of the life of a normal child. From the outside, you wouldn't know any different.
Wonderful. And how have you been managing Willow's care throughout the pandemic? How has that affected you?
I think at the beginning it was quite a learning curve. I'd been keeping a close eye on what was happening worldwide, and then as soon as it kind of hit Europe, I started planning. Guernsey has got close ties to Europe and people travel a lot, so I knew it was only a matter of time before it would get over here. So I ordered an extra month of her supplies in case there was a supply issue. We can't get her prescriptions directly from the companies. I have to contact her GP who does a prescription. We've had to, in this period, have them posted to us so we can sign the back of them, have somebody pick them up for us, and then take them to the pharmacy. And then the pharmacy would call me. It takes 2 or 3 weeks for it all to come in. The pharmacy would phone me, and then we'd then get it delivered to us. So it's kind of a lot of planning ahead of time of what we might need for the next month. Obviously, when she's sick, she has a sick regime. We didn't know if she was going to get sick, so we had to make sure we kept everything a nice stock level, and just made sure we were really well planned.
Yeah, organisation's key.
It definitely was in this instance.
How did you get on with your appointments during the time? How did you stay in touch with your consultants?
So she had a few appointments. We had our specialist appointment. Willows under the Evelina. Locally, there's nobody that does metabolic, so we had a phone call with her specialist. It was her typical clinic appointment, which she would have every 6 months, but it was more just a check-in appointment because we weren't having any issues, luckily. Locally, we also had her paediatrician appointment, which is every 6 months as well, who was again over the phone, and she's got a portacath for easy IV access. So we've still had to have the nurses come in each month and test it. But they phoned us ahead of time, explained what was going to happen. Guernsey, being really small, only has 3 community nurses, and 2 of them come around every month. So we know them anyway. And I don't think Willow even noticed the fact that they were wearing gloves and aprons and a mask, because she just seemed to look past all of the medical stuff, and she knew who it was that was coming.
Great.
So
and the communication's been good as well, hasn't it? You said.
Yes, it has. They've always phoned us in advance. Since we've started releasing from lockdown, Willow also needed an eye clinic appointment at the hospital, but we managed to get her a first appointment of the day, so it was really quiet. They explained what the process was, where I had to go, what I had to do. So communication was definitely key, because it kind of, you knew it was going to be different, but you knew what to expect.
Yeah.
So it was quite easy just to go with it.
Excellent. Right, so in Guernsey, your social distancing measures are due to be lifted.
Yes, this Saturday.
This Saturday. That's exciting, and exciting and possibly a very anxious time for you both.
Yes.
How are you feeling about Willow at the moment? Because she's going to be returning back to nursery.
So Willow, do you want to?
Yeah. So Willow she's excited about nursery. She's been back at nursery for 2 weeks now.
Yeah.
We're on the third, and she loves it. She's happy as anything. That helps us feel better about it. The nursery is very hot on everything.
Normally,
Yeah.
never mind this.
Yeah, any small illness, the nursery will pick it up, and the parents will be called and taken out. So, and even more so now. And all of the cleaning and stuff that's going on puts my mind at rest a little bit in terms of her possibly contracting anything there. And if anything, it's more just the everyday viruses, which are the more worry than everything that's going on with COVID-19.
Yeah. And how are you feeling with regards to social distancing measures in the nursery and how they,
I think currently, so before she went back, we actually checked with her paediatrician locally that they were happy for us, because our shielding, we had been shielding as a whole family, because she's only 2 and doesn't recognise personal space. The whole house was locked down. So we did check with her paediatrician kind of for an update, because as I'm sure everyone in the UK will know, getting shielding updates isn't easy. So we had checked, and if they were happy. Initially, we actually thought we'd have to wait a couple of weeks, and then her paediatrician was like, no, she can go back. The island is now COVID-19 free. And then nursery had sent a 5-page document of all of the requirements. Parents weren't allowed inside. You had 2 doors depending on which room you were in for nursery and which door you went. You had to hand sanitize. Like somebody was on the door, literally holding the door open, so you could pretty much just shove your kid through. So I think that made it easier because we knew they were taking it seriously. Yeah, as Erin said, they are very hot on sickness anyway, which is kind of annoying at times as a parent. But I think the fact that we knew exactly what they were doing, going forward, obviously, we'll now have access to nursery. So parents will be allowed back in, which I guess is adding a greater risk to Willow, because we've been trying to slowly reintroduce her back to germs and possible illnesses. So I guess the fact that she's been back at nursery, it would have been 3 weeks. As that's kind of, she hasn't got sick in that period. Yeah. So she can kind of move on now and be around a few more people.
And what are your key messages going forwards, do you think, as a family who's facing this return to normal now?
I think, 1, take it slowly. No one's expecting anyone to go full steam ahead, especially when we've got other things to consider. I'm really hoping that people will keep up good hygiene measures. So many people are so much more aware now of how easily viruses can spread. And personal space. I'm hoping people will just think we don't have to be standing right on top of each other. So I'm hoping, even if some of the people change the way they see things, hopefully that just be a few less germs going around for people with metabolic conditions to pick up.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest things we've noticed is people just staying home. Our works have said, if you're ill, just stay home, instead of trying just to battle through.
Brilliant. Thank you both so much for today. You've been absolutely wonderful. It's been great to hear your experiences and your feelings about returning to normal. And I think it's really reassuring for other people to hear that, who are maybe a few weeks or months behind where you are at the moment. So thank you so much for your time today.